What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, Real Talk Recovery, where we talk about recovery from addiction and I share my life with you. My name's Nicole and I'm a person in recovery. My sobriety date is July 13th of 2015. Today we're going to talk about addiction and pregnancy. But before we get into that, if you don't mind, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you want me to talk about next. And subscribe to my YouTube channel, you guys. So let's get into it. So for those of you guys that don't know, I got pregnant with my son in 2013, and I was in the peak of my addiction. I was shooting up heroin, Roxy's, Dilaudid, methamphetamine, cocaine, and I was heavily addicted to Xanaxes, or any kind of benzo, really. So when I found out that I was pregnant with my son, I was surprised, first of all. I remember the day my father-in-law came downstairs and I was standing here in the kitchen and he walked over to me and he said, "Are you pregnant?" And I looked at him and I was like, "No, why?" He's like, "Are you sure? Because you look pregnant." And he said, "You're glowing." And I was like, super skinny, really thin, malnourished because I was shooting dope every day. And so I was like, "No, Al, I'm not freaking pregnant." And I just blew it off, right? I was like, whatever. Well, about a week later, I went and got a pregnancy test and I was pregnant. Now, for those of you guys that have no idea what it was like when I was growing up as a kid, I'm going to tell you a little bit of my background. So I was raised up in a really amazing family. My parents are still married to this day. And so I was taught that, first of all, having sex before marriage is a sin, and also having a child out of wedlock is a sin. And so I remember just thinking like, oh my God, like my parents are going to be so upset with me, and I didn't know what to do. Like I was really just like at a loss for words. I didn't know how I was going to get sober, if I would even be able to get sober. So I remember trying to stop using drugs. I tried for the whole time I was pregnant. I would stop using Xanax and only use meth. Then I would stop using meth and only use opiates. And I was trying to find this like magic combination of drugs that weren't going to be harmful to my baby. And I was unsuccessful in stopping using methamphetamine. I stayed shooting meth through my whole pregnancy. And it was so bad, you guys, that I barely gained any weight. I didn't gain weight until like my 7th or 8th month pregnant, and then I gained all my pregnancy weight right there at the end. I felt so guilty. I felt so ashamed, and I did not feel like I could tell anybody or reach out for help. Of course, my husband knew what was going on because he was also using with me, and every time we would use, we would both cry because we knew what we were doing was wrong. I knew that I was harming my son. And when I think about it today in my recovery, the sober person that I am, it makes me sick to my stomach. But I also realize that the disease of addiction is so powerful. It is so powerful that it caused me, a mother, to choose drugs over my son. The day that I gave birth to my little boy, I had been up all week long on methamphetamine, and I actually went into labor at 5 a.m. on July 3rd morning. I went into labor and I called my husband and I was like, "Listen, you're going to have to come home because I need to go to the hospital." And so he got home by 8 and I went to the hospital, and I was only dilated to 1, but I was in labor. The hospital allowed me to go home, and for the next 12 hours, I was in labor at my house, getting in and out of the bathtub, trying to not be in so much pain, but I was also so high on meth that my body was just like feeling every feeling. You know what I'm saying? Like it was horrible, you guys. It was horrible. And the moment that was supposed to be the proudest moment of my life was one of the hardest moments of my life, because I was so afraid that when I gave birth to my son that they were going to take him from me. Like that's all I could think about the whole time, that I was giving birth to my son. And by God's grace, my little boy was born completely perfect, with not one stitch of drugs in his body. That day, God performed a miracle, you guys, and I walked out of that hospital 2 days later with my little boy in my hands, and I started my journey on being a new mother. My mom had came down from New York, and she was teaching me how to breastfeed and teaching me how to do all the things a mom needs to do. And for the first 3 months of my recovery after having my son, the first 3 months after having my son, I was able to stay sober, and I breastfed my little boy. But it was at about the 90-day mark that I decided that I could take a Xanax and everything would be okay, just one time, just so I could relax. And I took that Xanax, and that Xanax took me back out through there. And I picked up meth, and I picked up opiates intravenously, bam, right back at it, like I had never stopped. Well, while my son was a little baby, 3-4 months old, I was getting high and running the streets of Little Rock, Arkansas. My husband also relapsed, and we were both just running around getting high, buying drugs, just putting ourselves in really bad positions with our little boy. And my mother-in-law stepped up, and we started to leave my little boy with my mother-in-law because I was afraid that we were going to get arrested or something was going to happen, and then Nathaniel would get taken away from us. You guys, and when I tell you these things, I'm not proud of these things. I wish that I would have asked for help. I wish that I had not been so ashamed of my addiction, so that way I could have gotten the help I needed, and I wouldn't have had to go through the things that I was going through, and I wouldn't have had to put my son through the things I was putting my son through. For a whole year after my son was born, I stayed in my active addiction, high as hell. And it wasn't until my friend called CPS on me. My friend called CPS on me, and they came to my house, and I had to go there and submit to a drug screen. And when I did that, my whole world was turned upside down, because then everybody found out. They all knew that I was on drugs. They had proof now. And that's when they took Nathaniel from me. And that was my biggest fear when I gave birth to my son, and it ended up happening. But, I can truly say, you guys, that if it didn't happen, I wouldn't be sober today. It saved my life, and my son saved my life. The reason why I'm sharing this with you guys is because I want other mothers that are out there to know that you do not have to suffer in silence. You can reach out for help. Do not let the shame and the guilt and the stigma of addiction keep you from asking for help. If any of you guys are struggling and you're pregnant with your kid, please reach out to me. I will help you get help, and you will not get your child taken away. I promise. I will be there to help you the whole step of the way. This is what we need to do. We need to bridge the gap between the active addict and us in recovery. And we need to help each other, you guys. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help any person that's struggling in active addiction, pregnant or not. But if you're pregnant, I want you to know that I've been there. I want you to know that I felt the same way. And I felt like a piece of shit. I hated myself. I was so ashamed. And I'm still working through that shame and guilt to this day. I'm still trying to heal from all the things that I did that I am so ashamed. I feel like a shitbag for doing those things. But every time I look at my son and I'm able to be the mother that I am today, I know that I'm making up for it. And I know that he forgives me. I know that he loves me. And I'm so blessed. My little boy doesn't remember any of it. Any of it, you guys. So I remember it though, and that's why I share it with you, because I really want you guys to know that you do not have to sit there and suffer in silence anymore. You do not have to be ashamed of being in active addiction. There's nothing to be ashamed of. You're sick and you need help. You don't need to be judged. You don't need to be ridiculed. You need help. So I wanted to come on here and share this and not cry my eyeballs out, because it's so important for you guys out there that are pregnant, that are using drugs, to know that you can get help and that you don't have to continue on this way. I wish that I had known that I could get help. I wish that I had been brave enough to reach out for help. So I'm going to leave you guys with this. You can reach me anytime, day or night. I'm going to put my number down in the comments, and yeah, you can call me on that number anytime, day or night. I answer the phone 24/7, 7 days a week, and I will help you with resources. And if you just want to talk, you can just call me and we can just talk. I love you guys, and I'm here to support you in your recovery, and I'm here to help you achieve recovery. So know that I'll always be here to help you. Love y'all.